I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. On Thursday, Donald Trump sat for a deposition in connection with the civil fraud lawsuit brought by New York Attorney General Leticia James' office, where the office is seeking at least $250 million in damages against Trump, the Trump Organization, and his adult children for a decades-plus long financial fraud scheme where they would create these fraudulent valuations of their properties on their statement of financial conditions. Leading up to his deposition, Donald Trump went on his social media platform and started threatening and attacking New York Attorney General Leticia James. This is utterly despicable and disgusting, so I want to warn you in advance the things that Donald Trump stated, but it's important that we read this because we can't cover our eyes and close our ears to what a maniac, fascist, and just straight up evil individual this is, who in no way represents the true values of what America stands for. So let's pull up these posts. Donald Trump writes, "Just arrived in Manhattan for a deposition in front of New York State's racist, Trump-hating Attorney General Leticia Peekaboo James in another unjust and ridiculous persecution of the 45th President of the United States. I built a great and prosperous company, employed thousands of people, built magnificent structures all over the world, but particularly in New York, and now have to prove it to this lowlife who campaigned on a I will get Trump platform even before knowing anything about me." Well, where do I begin on this statement? How about even before knowing anything about me? Well, maybe your MAGA cult followers continue to be deceived by you, but anybody who has lived in New York, or anybody in this country or the world for that matter, who's not living under a rock or who's not in the MAGA cult and drinking the QAnon Kool-Aid, we all know your criminal schemes, and they're very much done in open and obvious ways, where you basically put your middle finger to law and order every single day. And frankly, finally, justice is being served, which I know that makes you terrified and nervous, but true law and order means nobody is above the law, including you, especially you who have committed so many crimes over the many, many, many decades that you've engaged in your fraudulent schemes. You go on to say, one of the common refrains that you make, which is just utterly despicable, is calling New York Attorney General Leticia James and frankly other black prosecutors, you call them all racist, and then you proceed to use racist tropes where I'm not even going to repeat what it is that you say here and what you refer to Leticia James as. And then you go on to brag and boast about accomplishments that you never accomplished. I know you have this malignant, narcissistic, inflated view of yourself, the same way you unlawfully inflate the valuations of your properties, what Leticia James is alleging. But unfortunately, none of these things are actually true, and none of these things you've actually accomplished. Perhaps in your head, the same way you thought when you went to New York that all of the law enforcement and all the court staff, that they were crying for you. They were crying for you. No, actually, they weren't crying for you. Can I just show you this video too? This is just a short clip of when Donald Trump did arrive in New York before his deposition on Thursday. Here's a crowd of people in New York, by the way, who are basically saying New York hates you, New York hates you. Just play this clip for a moment. let's go back to Donald Trump's post. But that's, by the way, how New Yorkers really feel about you. And you see the signs there which say no one is above the law. Go on to post, the good thing about the AG Peekaboo James persecution is that I will finally be able to show what a great, profitable, and valuable company I built, actually some of the greatest real estate assets anywhere in the world. Her effort and strict coordination and association with the lying, country-killing scum working in the White House and now discredited District Attorney Alvin Bragg will prove to be fake and even fraudulent. Her only hope is that she, quote, shopped a judge as bad as her. So in this one post, Donald Trump attacks the judge presiding over the case brought by the New York Attorney General's office, Justice Arthur Engoron. He attacks Alvin Bragg and says that Alvin Bragg has been discredited. Alvin Bragg has not been discredited. You are discredited each and every day. I know when you live in this weirdo QAnon MAGA echo chamber where people just whine about pronouns and they whine about bathrooms and they whine about how you're a crime victim and all of that. But like in the real world, people see right through all of that BS and all of that garbage. So no, Alvin Bragg has not been discredited at all. And by the way, you want to testify? You want to talk about your businesses? Go through your statement of financial conditions and answer the questions, unlike the last time you were deposed, where you invoked your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination to each and every question when you were asked some of the most basic questions. But go ahead. Answer the questions. Why was it that the valuations of your properties were multiples of what their appraised value was? And why did you put what appeared to be fraudulent statements on your statement of financial conditions? Why did you structure it that way? You can answer those questions under penalty of perjury versus what you did before when you invoked your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. And then his language and lies. There's not coordination at all with the White House here, number one. Certainly not strict coordination because there's no coordination at all. And then you call the White House the lying, country-killing scum. You know, everything that Donald Trump says is projection, and that's a perfect example of it. Everything's a confession. Everything is projection. So when he's referring to, I guess, the Biden administration as country-killing scum, I mean, Donald Trump legitimately leads a death cult. The Republican Party, not a political party anymore. They are a death cult that is being led by a death cult leader, and that is what has been a major problem to destroy the most basic of humanity and compassion and civil discourse in this country. His next post, he goes, the AG case should be tried in front of the commercial division, not in front of a highly partisan Trump-hating judge who was sought out or shopped by Peekaboo James. Very unfair. New York State should be ashamed of this injustice. You filed a motion to move the case away from Justice Arthur Engoron, and the presiding judge who makes these determinations about where the case resides ruled that the case should remain with Justice Arthur Engoron. It wasn't shopped to Justice Arthur Engoron. It's what's referred to as a related case because Arthur Engoron was the judge who was assigned the special proceeding before the lawsuit. So a related case goes to the same judge. It's not shopped. It's what happens in the court to everybody. You are no different than everybody. And you don't see other litigants in New York who are in front of Justice Arthur Engoron saying horrible things about Arthur Engoron. Engoron is a very well-respected judge who, plaintiff or defendant, corporate entity or nonprofit, Engoron has one of the best reputations of all judges in New York and one of the best reputations of all judges in the country, frankly. Just known as a straight shooter, no nonsense, nice person who's focused, though, on getting the law right. And that's obviously why you hate Arthur Engoron. It wasn't shopped anywhere. And then, again, more just racist language from Donald Trump in that post. But it's all projection, right? So then when he was headed to the deposition, again, another post, he goes, I will be heading downtown to meet with a racist who leaked that I would be there at 9:30 a.m. The leak makes it much more difficult for the police and Secret Service to do their job. This civil case is ridiculous, just like all of the other election interference cases being brought against me. If I had a fair judge, this case would have never happened. And then he just goes exclamation point, MAGA. I mean, he writes this like a maniac, just post after post after post. It's just like, shut up, sit for your deposition, be quiet. If you want to invoke the fifth, invoke the fifth. If you want to go and talk about your businesses, talk about your businesses. But enough with these ridiculous posts. I mean, the fact that Republicans look at these posts and go, you know what? That's the man I want to have control over the nuclear codes. That's the man who I want to make decisions of life or death for my family. I mean, to me, that is beyond shocking and disgraceful that Republicans, which are now a cult, just says that that's who they want. This is someone who is so not stable that they should be, frankly, nowhere near anybody who I love and respect and care about, you know, my community members, neighbors, friends, colleagues, all of you who I love. I don't want Donald Trump to be anywhere near anybody. This man is a freaking menace. And then he posts I'm not going to even play the video, but like he just posts photographs and videos of Leticia James. Here's like a photo, you know, part of the video that he plays of her. There you have it, folks. I mean, just think about this abhorrent and vile conduct by this really just despicable individual. We just got to keep calling out this conduct each and every day. We'll report back to you as we learn more here on the MeidasTouch Network. I'm Ben Meiselas. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers by this summer. Help us hit that 1.5 million mark. It's free to subscribe on our YouTube, so just hit subscribe right there. Also, wherever you get your audio podcasts, it's free as well. Search MeidasTouch Podcast and listen to our audio podcasts. And if you want to help fund this network, we're not funded by outside investors, so no pressure either way. Just go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Thank you so much for watching this. I'm Ben Meiselas, and we'll see you next time.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.